If there's a hot topic that we hear as coaches with teams that are struggling, and even healthy teams, even great, high functioning teams, it's often this skill of accountability. And before I really try to define it, I want to hear from you guys, um, just your thoughts. So, assessing the business you work in, Larita, your store there in the Philly area, David, your store in Georgia. If you had to rank how good you are as a business, not you, but your whole business at accountability, and one is the bottom score and four is the top high score, what number would you give? Would you give your business as a whole? How good are we as a business at holding others and ourselves accountable?
I think it depends on what it is that you're holding people accountable for.
Fair.
I feel like as far as like attendance policy and like different things like that, we're very good.
Okay.
I think sometimes holding accountable to like maybe like a goal or
Hmm.
a I'm trying to think the
A
other one.
result,
Yeah,
maybe.
like a result or something like that, like is maybe a little different. Like it's easy to come up with excuses of why you didn't hit a certain
Hmm.
goal or hit a certain result.
Okay. So give me
Or
a net score. It's imperfect. It
yeah,
depends.
I hate saying like straight in the middle at two, but yeah, that's kind of where my like gut goes.
Were you thinking more like 2.5? Or like when you said not in the middle, did you mean between two and three?
I
Or
just don't like saying in the middle because then it's
all
like a
right.
cop out.
I hear you. No, 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 that's good. How about you, Larita? If you just said, as a leadership team in our business, how good are we at accountability?
Sorry,
You're okay.
bad now. We've definitely gotten better. I think
Yeah.
in other times I would have given us negative scores.
Okay.
But I think we've come a long way, especially with like this new group of leadership that is now here.
Mm.
Um, I would say probably like a two, 2.5. I think our
Okay.
biggest issue is kind of just we're kind of spread thin leadership wise, so it's just a little difficult
Mm.
holding the line when there's so few people like trying to run it. So
So this is the really cool thing about being on a training. We're on a training with three of us, and Larita David here is working at a store in Georgia. And when you said we're a little thin leadership wise, I think because I work closely with David's team, he was going, uh-huh. Like you're kind of in a similar spot, right?
Oh, I understand. I'm the executive director GM and I run shifts every day, so I get it.
Yes.
yeah, we have for front of house, we're running with three front of house directors and two team leads in the front of house. And that's all we have right now. So it's just like everyone's running shifts every day. It's just insane.
Yeah.
So
But
I,
go ahead, man.
I was just saying I understand. I feel
Yeah,
your pain.
yeah, you're not alone is the
yeah,
good news, Larita. But what I
that's
love
good.
about your answer, Larita, is you like it used to be negative. Now I think we're two, 2.5. So we're seeing progress, right? What if you had to answer the same question for yourself? Like, forget the team leads, forget the owner operator, just you. How good do you? You had to give yourself a score. And again, it might be aggregate. You might be great at attendance policy and bad at, you know, drive-through metrics or whatever. But if you had to just give yourself a number individually, where would you rank yourself?
I would say normally I'd be like a three, but it depends on how stretched thin I am. Like it's easy to be like, I'll deal with that tomorrow. And sometimes tomorrow just ends up like 3 weeks later.
That's well said, man. And then is it too late? Hey, remember 3 weeks ago you didn't have your name tag on?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'd say, man, knowing you pretty well, you're at least a three. I think you're at least a three.
Thanks.
How about you, Loretta?
Honestly,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's just like you're the only lead on the floor
Mm.
and like something goes wrong and maybe you can like kind of coach it in a moment, but it's like sometimes you're just like, I do not have time to write this up, or like I really like have to do five, six, seven other things, and you're just like, and then you come back to it and you're like, oh shoot, like kind of missed that one.
Yeah, you are so not alone. Um, so I would say I was just with a team last week in person, and I would say Veteran leaders tend to hover around a three on accountability, three or four. I mean, like if you're hardcore wired for it, like George is in your business, Larita,
Oh
George
yeah.
probably would see himself as a four. He's a truth teller. He's got no trouble telling you when you're not following the rules. And I would say younger leaders tend to be in that 1 to 2 range more often than not. So I feel like you guys are tracking right there. So, what is accountability? Right? Like accountability is one of those words that we use in almost every business. And yet, if we ask somebody to give a succinct definition, they might struggle. So, for our purposes, just for the sake of time, since I struggle with the technology to get going, I like to define accountability this way: it's helping everybody on our team live up to our values and commitments, right? Accountability is making sure that everybody in the whole business, from the operator to the new hire, is living up to the things we say we are going to be about, that we believe in, that we are committed to doing, right? That's my attempt to define it. So, why do we need accountability? And I ask that question really with this subtext: at least at a leadership level, won't we just all do the right thing? I mean, you guys are all in. You work really hard. What you do takes a lot of skill. People have no idea how hard your jobs are. You sacrifice, you're bought in, you care. Like, do we really, won't we just all do the right thing? And I think the answer we all know is that you work in a demanding business with a lot of distractions. Every day there's fires to put out. Every day there's guests that need attention. Every day there's a team that needs attention. Every day, like you said, Larita, I think I'm going to address that, and then six other things pop up, right? So, really, what accountability helps us do is maintain our focus on the things that we say matter the most. Now, kind of built that into my definition. Accountability is helping everybody on our team live up to our values and our commitments. At Chick-fil-A, Core 4 is a commitment, or Pathway might be a commitment, right? But those aren't our only commitments. Every single Chick-fil-A business we work with has their own unique set of values and mission and ethos and identity and all that stuff. But let's get practical for a minute. I'd love for each of you to give me just one thing that you're like, this is something we value in our business. This is a commitment we've made that we have to hold the line on. And you can get real, like, your front of house, Larita, it could be something in the front of house, or it could be something broader. It can be whatever you want it to. What's just one thing you guys are committed to that you want to live up to?
Yeah, I mean, Fred, we've changed the culture a ton at our store, and we had a trainer who she's kind of been a bad apple of late, and we've tried coaching and all of that, but we had to let her go yesterday, and it's just one of those things where like, look, we can either let her just continue to ruin the culture, or we can say, sorry. And so, we're the line at making sure the culture stayed where it needed to be.
You guys are committed to a certain culture.
Yep.
And if somebody's going to sabotage that, we just can't have that. Right. And I know that letting that person go was the last of many interventions that you guys made, right? Of accountability.
Oh yeah. I mean, multiple write-ups, multiple conversations, and lots of coaching opportunities. And yeah.
It's good. How about you, Larita? What's one thing, that you feel like, hey, I want to hold the line on this, or I want to call myself and everybody who's in the front of the house to live up to?
I think something that we've kind of been working on is just like a certain level of like integrity, where I think similarly we also had to let one of our trainers go after a long time of working on it, and it really comes down to like we, especially trying to recover from like a really really bad accountability culture, have really tried to be kind of like giving grace in certain things, because especially the people that have been there longer are used to like this really bad culture, and so you don't just want to like kind of like come in one day and lay down the law, because it just doesn't.
Feels like too big a swing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we show grace in, like some kid like called out, no, nothing, it was his grandma's funeral, and we're like, I mean, okay, let's think like you called out your grandma also like died suddenly. So I guess just having integrity in that, where it's like, if we are showing grace, it's not to be taken advantage of. It's because we want to help you grow. And we think by not like going as far as we could be going, we are trying to like kind of like help you grow in that, not for you to take advantage and like regress more.
Yeah, you're trying to be patient. And also, it sounds like you're trying to be both firm and gracious. Like we're going to hold the line, but we're also going to consider situations and the patience of like we've really dropped the ball at holding the line. So we realize that's going to feel like a sudden shift to our whole team, and we're going to have to be patient with them while they get used to it. Is that right? Yeah, I see you none. I know you're driving. I want you to be safe. Um, so, like, the thing is, if we had all day, you guys could make probably multiple pages of notes of things you're committed to. You have your values, you have your goals, you have your standards, you have EcoSure standards and Deloitte standards, and you have your own processes that you've built, right? And all of these things require a commitment to live up to because there are times everybody wants to cut corners. Everybody wants to say, I don't have time to push the tabs in on the box, right? I don't have time to say, welcome in to every person who walks in the door or whatever, or we make excuses for results, as David mentioned. So, who is accountability for? Who needs to be accountable? I know David and I will recognize this image on a screen because, we're both over the age of 30. David's
I'm
barely over the age
offended
of
by
30.
that.
You're barely over the age of 30. But Lorena, you know what this is, right? This is what?
It's like a skating rink.
Yeah, have you ever been to one of those?
I have a very, very long time ago.
Okay. So when I was a teenager, this was like probably late middle school, before you could drive. This is what you did on Fridays. Like mom and dad would drop you off and you'd skate. And we had actually a little board like this in the skating rink I used to skate at. And it basically, instead of just skating to music for 2, 3 hours or 4 hours, whatever it was open, they would designate these different songs would be different kinds of skates. Like you had to go backwards. It was only ladies, only guys. You had to have groups of three, whatever. But generally, the primary mode of skating was all skate. This is for everybody. And I want to suggest to you that like accountability works best when we remember that it's an all skate. Accountability is not just for the team members and it's not just for the leaders. It's for everybody, right? And so kind of baked into my definition is this is helping everybody on our team. Like our leaders have to live up to our values and commitments. Our operator has to live up to our values and commitments. Our team has to live up to our values and our commitments, right? So team members, who are they accountable to? Well, they definitely have leaders. Those leaders have leaders. Those leaders have an owner, a business owner. And team members probably, honestly, first line of accountability is directly to the guest, right? I have to take their order. I have to deliver their food. I have to refresh their drink. Frontline leaders, like you're accountable to the guests, to the team, to the people above you. Our senior leaders are accountable. And our owner operator is accountable. Like I've worked with some folks in businesses who think, man, if I just climb the ladder, I don't have to answer to anybody. No, the truth is you always answer to somebody. Um, you know, David's owner operator is a guy named Jason. Larita, your owner operator is a guy named Jim. They both answer to Chick-fil-A. They both answer to the guests that walk in the restaurant. They both answer to you and the team because they've committed to giving you certain things. You need vision from them, or you need resources, or you need direction, or you need freedom, whatever they've committed to giving you. Like accountability is an all skate, right? And I would say not only that, but it flows in both directions. I taught my son how to drive, and my wife's the best driver in our family, but she was not down for teaching our kids. She's like, "That's your job. You be the one to die with them in the crash before they're any good at this." And so, I help them learn to drive. I help them with the road signs. And when I think about accountability, I think about this road sign that says it's two-way traffic. And what I mean by that is it's not just like the people at the top of the screen are accountable to everybody and it doesn't go the other way. No. Like, our operators accountable to the team members? They've promised to provide certain things to them if they work in this business. We're accountable to our guests. We've promised to provide a certain level of hospitality and a clean restaurant and a certain level of service, right? And so I think sometimes we struggle when we think my job is to hold the people under me accountable in an organizational chart. No, like we're all accountable to each other. So if what I said is true, and you can disagree, that's okay. But if accountability is like essential and it's for everybody, why do most teams seem to struggle with this? If it's a no-brainer and everybody's supposed to be playing along with this thing, why is it hard? And I want to talk to you for a few minutes about the most common reasons I hear as a coach as to why people struggle with accountability. Some of these I've said myself, right? And I not only want to give you the reason, but I want to give you the other side of the coin. My parents passed away about a decade ago, and they left me this Rubbermaid container of these really old coins. Some are like no, not worth anything more than like a penny or whatever's on the coin. Some are worth a little more, but because they're old, they don't look familiar for the most part. Like the front might look familiar, but I flip it over and I'm like, oh, there's a buffalo on the back of this nickel, right? Not what you typically see on a nickel today. And so I've always kind of appreciated not only in that little Rubbermaid container of coins, but like with ideas like, what's the other side of that? So let me give you an example. One of the biggest struggles people have with accountability is that they really like people and they're highly relational. In fact, I was with a team last month and I was supposed to do a training and I said, well, what would you like help with? And they said, our whole team's relational and we struggle with accountability. Right. And so they kind of sparked this training, to be honest. And when I asked this question for a show of hands, how many of you are highly relational? It was 8 out of 9. 8 out of 9 of them are extroverted people. And that's a good thing. The other side of the coin is if I don't hold people accountable, I actually negatively impact relationships. I may think I can't hold the line because I like people. Well, when I don't hold the line, I'm actually hurting the people that I say I like, right? Let me give you an example. The question I like to ask is, yeah, but what about everybody else? So you both mentioned that you had to let some trainers go recently. I know that's a hard decision and you journeyed with them through a process of accountability. But if you hadn't done that and you just let them do what they were doing, you let them walk away from tasks, hide in the bathroom. I may know a couple stories about one of those people who got let go. You let them train people not using pathway or standards, not fulfill their whatever it is. You decided I'm not going to come down on them, but what about everybody else around them? Like when it comes to accountability, we think about the person we need to write up, or the person we need to coach, or the person we need to have that conversation with. I think we also need to think about the people around them because if they're not doing their work, who's carrying the extra load? They are. When everybody else comes to work in uniform with a name tag and they put a little extra effort into doing the laundry so they could show up clean and on time, and that person isn't held accountable, what does it say to them? Right? And then what about our other leaders? Like if the three of us are a leadership team and you guys are great at accountability and I don't hold my weight in that area, I'm putting more burden on you. In fact, I was with a team recently and one of them said, we've got one member of our team that's really good at this. And I realize I've made their job harder by being the weak link. Like, because I've let them be the heavy, I've let them have the conversations and the write-ups. I've actually not honored my relationship with them as a teammate, as a fellow leader. So we may think, oh, if you're really extroverted and relational, accountability is not for you. No, no, no. If you're really relational, then you've got to hold people accountable. Here's that parallel. It's the second thing I hear a lot, and I hear a lot at Chick-fil-A because it's a value for us as a company. But we just want to be kind and caring. Like we want everybody to know we care. We want to be kind, and holding people accountable doesn't feel that way. Well, a lack of accountability is not kind or caring. You both let people go recently who were behaving in ways that were not serving the business well or them well. And I know your hope is like, I hope something clicks. I hope eventually they get it. I hope they look back and they say, they start quoting Taylor Swift, "Hi, it was me. I was the problem. Like I did it." When we don't hold people accountable, we don't give them that opportunity. Like we let them continue with behavior that's not serving them well. And even when they leave us and they go to Raising Cane's Chicken or Taco Bell, or they go work at a water ice place in the Philly area. Got to show some love to our Philly people, right, Loretta? If they're showing up late with a dirty uniform, it's not going to help them there either. Now, I can tell you, this was an area I struggled as a young leader. And I had somebody tell me once, and it really got my attention. In fact, it changed the way I practiced accountability. They said, "Fred, when you don't hold people accountable, you think you're being kind, but you're not. You're being nice to yourself because you don't want to be uncomfortable. You're not being kind to them. They need the accountability. You're being nice to yourself." And that really hit home. A third reason that people name, and I think this is a valid reason, is that it's hard. It's hard to pull people aside. It's hard to document. It's uncomfortable for most of us. I would say in my own, just this is not scientific, I'd say roughly 10% of the people I've coached, and I've had the chance to coach a couple hundred leaders in the last 5 years, about 10% of them are naturally wired to hold people accountable and it not feel very hard for them. What feels hard for them is when you don't join them in it, and I don't join them in it, right? But for 9 out of 10 people, accountability is hard. So I don't know if you've ever heard this idea of choose your hard, right? And the heart of this idea is truthfully, everything's hard. Working out is hard. Being weak, especially as you age, is harder. Eating healthy, getting the salad or the grilled nuggets or instead of the pimento sandwich that I love so much is hard. Being chronically sick is harder. Being consistent is hard. Having to start over is harder. Saying no is hard. Being overcommitted is harder, right? All these things on the screen. Holding people accountable is hard, but not holding them accountable and ending up where you said you guys got, Loretta, where you were a negative on the accountability thing, it puts us in harder spots. You know what's harder than firing somebody that you've documented and had a bunch of conversations with? Trying to fire somebody you haven't held accountable at all. You know what's harder than calling somebody out for food safety violation? Having somebody get really sick on our food, right? What's harder than telling somebody, man, you cannot take a cookie, that's theft. Having them steal money out of the register is harder, right? And so that's just the other side of the coin to me, is that like, yeah, it's kind of all hard, but deal with it before it gets bigger. Here's a fourth thing that I hear and I've said, like, look, I'll hold people accountable. I'm just afraid of how they're going to respond. Because you're going to be as thoughtful as you can, as kind as you can, as honest as you can, as tactful as you can, but you have no idea if they're going to lose it, if they're going to yell, if they're going to accuse you of playing favorites. You just don't know. The other side of that coin is, frankly, we cannot control other people's reactions. Even if you do the best job a human being has ever done at coaching and documenting and having the conversation and being gracious, they could still lose it and cause a scene, right? You just can't control it. The fifth reason, this is the last one, we're afraid we might lose people. Man, if I start telling them they can't have their phone, they might quit. If I start telling them they can't start closing the business early because they want to get out, they might quit. We're not going to have enough people to close the business, right? Two sides to this coin. I'm going to tell you, and you both just lived it, so you don't need me to preach it. We need to lose people who refuse to be accountable. Because people who refuse to be accountable hurt our team and they hurt our business and they hurt our culture. And I'm not saying we're excited to let people go, but if somebody really will not be accountable, we don't need them in our business. We actually need them to step out, right? And the other side is you might lose people who are trying to do the right thing if you tolerate a lack of accountability. Like you've got people who are like, man, if we're not going to take this seriously, I don't want to work here. So I would almost say decide who you want to lose. Do you want to lose the person who is trying the best they can? Or do you want to lose the person who really doesn't care and is doing whatever they want anyway? So those are the kind of big points of resistance we tend to hear that we're too relational, we're too caring, this is hard, it's challenging, we're worried about how they'll react, or we're afraid they'll leave. I'm curious for you guys, does one of those resonate more than another for you personally? Even internally, maybe you've never said it out loud, but inside you're like, God, I just don't want them to blow up. Or I hope they don't quit because we really need supervisors at this point. I don't know. What do y'all think? I've talked a lot. I want to hear from you. It's where I had lunch today, by the way. It's a little chicken shop near me.
Um, for me, I don't know that it's those reasons I find accountability hard. I think, like I said, it's the busyness
Mm,
that gets me. Um,
good.
Afraid of their reactions, I could care less about, or if they'll leave. Maybe I used to be when I was a younger leader, and you're worried about just staffing it.
Yep.
Um, but I think I've seen too many times where, you know, you get a net gain from losing negative people.
Yep.
Um, but the one where, the kind and caring part, I guess for me, my big flip is I'm not being kind or caring to the team
Mm,
if I'm trying to be kind and caring to one person.
that's right.
So it's more important to be kind and caring to the whole than in one individual.
That's so good, man. You said it better than I did. And I would say to just strengthen your argument, it is kind to tell somebody when they're underperforming
Correct.
than to just let them slack and not realize they're not carrying their weight.
I
That's
mean,
a kind thing.
yeah, I mean, I've used the example with my team when someone doesn't like it and they're like, well, why are you picking on me? I'm like, I'm not picking on you, but it's the same thing. I'm not going to tell you something I wouldn't tell my wife.
Yeah.
If my wife made a commitment to do something and she's not doing it, or if she says, hey, I'm going to work out and I'm not, like, and I say something, I'm not being a jerk. I'm just helping hold accountable. Or, if your operator says, hey, no more breaded chicken, I only want to eat healthy, and, they ring up one of the most unhealthy things you could eat with some mac and cheese, and you look at them and say, do you want me to say something right now? And yeah,
Yeah.
that's accountability.
No, I love that because I think we're on a similar page with our definition. This isn't random stuff I'm holding you accountable to. These are the commitments that we've made. That we said this is how we're going to operate, or this is David, this is how I want to eat. I'm not asking you to call me out, but when you see me not doing what I've said I will do, you have permission to say, "Hey, man, mac and cheese, really? I thought it was salads at lunch from now on, or whatever it is, right?" It's good. It's good. Okay, so what I heard from you, man, is like you've probably cycled through some of these as a younger leader, but as a seasoned, grizzled, but still young leader,
Grizzled?
grizzled, like you've got
I
strong.
hope you're hearing how he's talking about me. Jeez.
David and I are good friends, Lorena, if you're not catching on to that. All right, Lorena, how about of these five, is there one that like you find running through your head when you have to have the hard moment of kind of like, hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing?
I think honestly, I don't really I think when it comes down to like accountability, like if I see something, like I'm on good terms with all of my team, but like since like day one, I guess just the way I am at work, it's like we're not friends. Like I'm not here to like be your buddy. Like we are
Yeah.
friends. There's plenty of people that I like talk to and enjoy working with, but I think that part of my brain that's like more friendly kind of just shuts down. I don't know why, but it's just like I'm just like no, and they're like, oh, but I'm like, no, no.
Okay.
Like you know how we work here. I think it is a lot of it is just like the time is like
Time.
sometimes you're
Okay.
like
Good.
list of priorities and then like you're like, oh, I need to deal with them being like 6 minutes late. And then you're like, all right, but I need to do this and this and this and this. And then you look around and you're like, where'd they go? And they're like, they left an hour ago. And you're like, great. All right. We'll come back to this.
Yeah. So really, you and Dad, I think David are on a similar page that like these things might be true for some people, but for you, it's more the time and the demands of what you've got going on. make it easy to go, I'll get to that. Ah, they're gone. They don't work till next Wednesday. Am I really going to be like, hey, you were 6 minutes late? I mean, maybe you are going to be, hey, you were 6 minutes late, but okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm going to keep it moving. Let's spend some time. We've got about 20 minutes left. I want to give you some ideas. And again, you'll probably have some better ideas, but I want to at least spark some thinking for you about how to improve accountability. Because you both said, neither of you said we're fours in our business. Like we don't even need this. Like this for other people, we got this, right? So even though Larita, you've moved from a negative to a 2.5, David, you'd say two something for the business as a whole. How do we get better? And I actually love what each of you just said because I think you've already touched on things that I want to suggest to you. First, I would say accountability works best when it's a part of your culture. Larita, you said something like, "This is how we function around here. Like this is work. This is what happens at work, right? This is a part of our culture." And I think when I say that, here's what I mean. Accountability seems to work best when it's a part of who we are, not simply something we simply try to do. Because if we're trying to hold each other and ourselves, because this is for everybody, accountable, then when we get busy or when it feels hard or when staffing's lean or when, then the trying part kind of starts to go away. So what do I mean? Like accountability works better when it's a part of who we are. Well, there are a certain group of people in a business that get to decide what the culture is going to be. And they're you, right? So probably the heart of accountability starts with us. Like leaders have to model accountability to the team. I tend to ask myself questions like this occasionally, and I pose it to you. What would your business look like if suddenly every single person in the business replicated your approach to accountability? Like if every leader now handled it exactly the way you do, knowing the two people on this call, it'd probably get better in your businesses. I'm going to have some other people on trainings this month that would go, ooh, we'd be in trouble because I'm not very good at this, right? As leaders, we have to model it. And the idea there is that when we hold ourselves accountable, and by that I mean we might have to say to somebody, hey, I apologize because I didn't set you up well to succeed this shift. Or, hey, I need to own, I didn't get that report to you on time. You asked me for it by Tuesday. I didn't get it to you till Thursday. It was my fault. I apologize. Right? But when we hold ourselves accountable, it tends to make it easier for other people to lean in to accountability. Right? So, got a picture of a fruit tree on the screen. And what kind of fruit do you think that is?
An apple?
Yeah, I think it's an apple. That looks apple-like to me. Um, what kind of seeds were planted, do you think, to produce that fruit tree? Apple seeds, right? It wasn't peach seeds. It wasn't an avocado circle thing that's in the middle of the avocados I make guac out of. Apple seeds. Well, I want to suggest to you the seeds of your team being accountable are planted when you and I, as leaders, we hold ourselves and each other on the leadership team accountable, right? And what kind of fruit comes from accountability, right? The idea to plant seeds is that you get fruit. Well, when accountability happens, there's a higher level of trust. When you look around your leadership table and you know each and every person is going to hold themselves accountable, admit when they've let themselves or others down, be honest about what happened, like trust goes up. Because I'd be like, well, if Larita screws up, she's going to tell me. If David doesn't deliver, I'm not going to be surprised, right? If Fred makes a mistake, he's going to own up to it. He's not going to cover it or explain it away. We're going to trust each other more. When your team sees the leaders being accountable, their trust in leadership goes up, right? When the team sees leaders who, man, he didn't say anything to them. Wow, she let that go. Wow, I can't believe that they talked to them like that. That erodes the trust in our team. More engagement, right? When people know we're going to do what we say we're going to do, not that we're perfect, we're going to fail, we're going to make mistakes. That happens every day, right? There's a reason that like 98% is amazing order accuracy, even if it means that we got 200 orders wrong, right? Like we're not perfect, but when we're sincere, when we're honest, when we're accountable, when the standards don't change based on whether or not people think we like them, people tend to be a little more engaged. They tend to perform a little better, right? When we're consistent about we're following pathway, we're following pathway, we're following pathway. We're living up to our policies. We're using our processes. Like, I know you guys both have had some really good results with food safety in your stores and with EcoSure. Um, I would say, based on knowing a little bit about what each of you did, because you had a high level of accountability around EcoSure procedures and food safety procedures. Hey, we got checklists. Hey, we're doing ERQAs. Hey, we're doing walkthroughs, right? Like we get better performance, which means we get consistent results. And eventually, this is the cool thing. When people see their leaders be accountable, some of them at least will join in and they'll hold themselves accountable. Because man, if David is doing core four every time he takes an order, how am I not going to do core four? Like I've got to be accountable too. So here's really what I'm suggesting to you. If we as leaders are accountable, it becomes easier to hold others accountable. And other people might follow our example. And if we skirt accountability, if we make excuses, if we avoid whatever, if we blame, it tends to be a little harder to hold other people accountable because we know we're not doing it ourselves. So make sure this is a part of your culture, right? And when I say that, I think that starts with orientation and onboarding. Like, hey, the good news is you're joining a team in a business where we are accountable to live up to our commitments. Like, so don't be surprised. We're going to hold ourselves and you accountable. Secondly, provide clarity. Provide clarity around accountability. Like, does your team know what that means? Do they know, that look, at the end of the day, it's not even about rules. It's that we've made a commitment to a certain level of service, to a certain level of product out of our kitchen, to a certain level of respect and dignity. And we're going to live up to those things. We've made a commitment to take care. Like that's the Rincon, Georgia mission, right? We've made a commitment to take care of our team, of our community, of what we've been entrusted with as stewards. We're going to live up to that. Do they know why you practice it? Like, man, why are you harping on me about my name tag? Why are you on me about the phone or the drinks or because this is what we're chasing. We want you to know you can trust us. We want to all give our best. We want to do really well and get great results. Do they know how you practice it? People should not be surprised when they find themselves in a situation where they're being held accountable, right? They should know, like, okay, this is what happens. If I'm not doing what I should, there's a conversation. And then there might be documenting or whatever your process or procedure is. Have we provided clarity around responsibilities? Do people know what they're accountable for? You can't hold people accountable to something they haven't understood, right? And have we actually equipped them to do that thing? Have they had the training they need? Do they have the equipment they need? Do they have the time to get it done? Do they know what success looks like? Do they know that if they do this really well, this is the result we're pursuing? And then are our expectations realistic? I would say neither of you are old leaders on this call, but old leaders, this is often their point of struggle because they last did that job that their team is doing when the volume was a tenth of what it is today, or when the team was 8 people instead of 40, or when a big car count was 45 cars an hour, and they're like, they can do it, and you're like, well, wait a minute, like, hey, is what we're asking of them actually realistic? So I know
Well,
Chick-fil-A.
I don't know that you have to be an old leader for that because, you know, I have a leader who's 22 and you know who I'm talking about,
I
but
do.
they struggle with team members and new leaders understanding what, a good expectation is and
Good.
forgetting, oh, this new leader is only 19 years old and
Right.
they struggle with personality things and things like that.
No,
Um,
well said, man. And I was teasing a little bit with,
yeah, no,
yeah,
but
with
at
you,
the
but
same time, like one of the things with accountability that I've been doing a lot more lately, and it's been fun to see the reaction, is inviting the person I'm holding accountable into it of like, hey, like
Mhm.
I'm
Love
holding you
that.
accountable because I want to see you get better, but at the same time, like feel free at any point if you see me out of line or you see
Yes.
me doing something wrong,
Yes.
call me out. And so
Yeah.
the stupid little things that I get called out for, like you said, like pressing a menu tab or, just little things that because, you're doing eight things at once, Larita, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, where they're like, hey, you just cut that corner and
Mhm.
you're like, didn't sticker the bag correctly or whatever. And you're just like, yeah, you're right. And it lets them see that first off, we're flawed and we make mistakes and can be called out too. But at
Yes.
the same time, it all of a sudden gets them looking at things
Yeah.
differently. Instead
Yeah.
of, "Oh, it's okay to cut corners, it's no, hey, you just cut a corner. Are you okay with that? Nope, you're right. Good job. You caught it.
That's right, man. No, so well said, man. I think you're really capturing the heart of what I was trying to say when I said, like, when leaders are accountable, when you respond like, you're right, thank you, then that makes them go, oh, okay. This isn't a power thing. This is we're all trying to live up to doing the right thing, right? And we're saying like, I need it too. It's not just I have a different shirt on than you do, so I'm the one who holds you accountable. Man, if Fred doesn't say my pleasure, nudge me and tell me
Mhm.
because I want to do the right thing too.
And not only that, but not that, oh, you all of a sudden hit a certain level, so now you
That's
don't
right.
need it, or
No, we
you
all
can
need it.
you're above the rules or something like that. No, we all fall under the same things.
That's right.
And when a leader apologizes or when a leader says I'm sorry, all of a sudden it's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And when a team member is just like making excuses for their actions.
Yes. That's right. Our respect for leaders who sincerely apologize always goes up, I think, because they're showing us humility, right? They're showing us like, yeah, I know I'm not perfect either. So well said, man. And I love what you said for Larita's sake, because Larita, you're 20. Are you 20?
Sorry, I'm 19.
19. Okay. I knew you were 19. I didn't know if you turned 20 since I saw you in the restaurant. Um, it really won't be too many years before you'll be like, remember the good old days at Chick-fil-A? Seriously, like you'll see you'll be like, how can these team members not get this? And you'll feel like it was different back then. And you'll be like 21 at that point or 22, right? So you live in a business that's always adapting and always changing. And so I think we do need to ask, like, are our expectations realistic? Have we trained them well? Do they know what they're accountable for? Particularly, you've both given examples of trainers you've had to let go. Did those people train them right? Like I love leaders who would pull somebody aside and say, hey, walk me through how you're making that shake. Because they're doing it wrong. And they walk you through and you're like, hey, where did you learn that? Oh, well, that's how Bob taught me to do it. Oh, okay, interesting. Well, let me show you how we actually do it around here, right? But understanding like that they may just be doing exactly what they've been shown. Might have been shown the wrong thing. So being clear about responsibilities. Larita, you touched on this one. I think it's important. We need accountability. We need to provide, it should say around relationships. We need to provide clarity around relationships. I would say our whole team needs to know who's leading them. You probably at times have had team members who try to work around their leader. They like you. They don't like the person leading the shift. So when they want something, they come to you. And you need to say, hey, appreciate you coming to me, but Jacqueline's leading the shift. You need to go talk to Jacqueline, right? So being clear about, hey, great idea, but they're the kitchen director. You need to take that to them. Like that honors other leaders. And at the same time, people also need to know that if they're experiencing something from a leader they think is mistreatment, there are paths. Like they can talk to your HR person, they can talk to you as a leader, but they can't work around their leader, right? Just to get what they want. We need to provide clarity, I think, when a leader used to be peers with everybody else and they've been promoted. Like we should be talking to that leader about, hey, things have changed. Here's what it's going to mean for you. Here's what it's going to mean for them. If you have a peer who's struggling with that, we may need to sit down with them and say, look, I know you and Tyler used to be exactly the same, but we've given him more responsibility. And that doesn't mean he can, hold it over your head, but it means he's not your peer anymore. He's still accountable to do all the right things, but he's got more responsibility. He's got a different role. You mentioned this one, Larita, and so I want to come back to it. When we're friends outside of work, like we need clarity. Like, yeah, you and I may hang outside of work, but at work, we both play our roles. And if my role is to lead you, then I lead you, and I'm going to lead you with kindness and integrity and humility. But you can't leverage our friendship. And I'm not going to leverage our friendship either, right?
And
Up
Larita,
and
for you to understand that at your age is remarkable. Like
yes.
that's extremely hard for leaders to understand and to do, especially where you're at. Like that's I hope you know that that's special.
It is special. That's good, man. Thank you for that word of affirmation and encouragement, David. It's so good. Hey, and I would say, and I think this is the one, if you guys are at least at a two, this is the one that might really move the needle for you. Just make sure you're practicing consistency. Just be consistent. Whether it's about your system, if you have a system for accountability, whether that's accountability around policy, pathway, procedure, or results, like making sure you know what the system is and you use the system consistently, right? Maybe you have a schedule. This would probably be true more on the results kind of thing. Like, hey, we come to this meeting every week, or we go to this meeting every month, and we report in on what our results are, right? And we're going to be consistent about not only having those meetings, but making sure we're bringing our reports or our data. And then when it comes to our system or our schedule, are both those things simple enough to be sustainable? Are your systems of accountability and the schedule for those things, are they easy enough, like simple, clear, clean, that you can keep doing them over the long haul? I know that you guys have built lots of systems in your work, but generally speaking, the more complex the system is, the less you're going to honestly use it or follow it, right? It's kind of like with diet. If you have to weigh every single bite of food you put in your mouth, most people will not do that for very long. But if you're like, hey, I eat mostly fruits and vegetables and clean proteins and whole grains, you probably do that a little longer, right? Or I get a salad for lunch every day. You probably can do that a little bit longer. Okay, so there is a handout for today's training that covers everything we said and a couple other things. And just like I probably would any training, whether I put this slide up or not, I just encourage you to think whether it's something I mentioned or you'll probably have better ideas than I did. Is there something you could do in the next week or two to raise your own level of accountability or even challenge other leaders in your business? Like, hey, we need to raise our level of accountability because the leaders aren't going to, or the team's not going to rise above you. Like the team's not going to be more accountable than you are, right? We've got to raise our level. And then is there a further conversation you need? Is there something specifically in your business you're like, we're really good at being accountable here and here, but we ignore this. We got to start talking about that. Or maybe for you, Larita, hey, we've been in this season of patience and grace, and maybe we just need to start in our huddles with the team saying, all right, guys, we've been warming up to this idea of holding the line on standards, and I think we're warmed up now. So you just need to know when you show up, we're looking for clean uniform name tag, we're looking for core four, we're looking for whatever it is. So, anybody have an initial thought? I'd encourage you to chew on that in the month ahead. But anybody have an initial like, man, I think I need to do this, or I think I need to talk with somebody about that.
I think one thing, since we're all pretty stretched decently thin,
Yes.
um, and like we do this occasionally, but just like making it more like a group thing. Even like if I'm leading the shift or if I see somebody else leading the shift or there's somebody on admin, be like, hey, I saw this. It's your shift. You mind if this, like Jason writes it up or whatever? And like
Mhm.
being able to like delegate that more because I think one of our big struggles is like by the time you get around to it, they're gone. You don't see them for 3 days
Mhm.
or it just sits up there. And then like by the time you give it to them, they're kind of like, okay, like
Mhm.
that was last week. Like, why does it matter? And it's like
Mhm.
some of those things need to be handled like immediately. And I guess just
Mhm.
taking more time to communicate that,
Mhm.
even if you're not necessarily the person to handle it, would be
Mhm.
helpful, I guess, in our specific situation, just
Mhm.
because of the way that things are going right now.
Loretta, I love that. I could totally see it's you, George, and who's your third front of house leader?
Jason.
Jason. I could see the three of you sitting down and having this conversation. Hey, just went to this training on accountability and realized like the biggest impediment to us is how busy we are and we feel stretched thin. So, is it possible that we can make this a team thing between the three of us? And you might have to hand it off to me and you might have to say, hey, she came in late. She needs to be written up. I've got four other things to do. Could you please handle that? Great. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's both probably an action you could take, but I could see really a conversation with you, George, and Jason being to kind of get on the same page, being helpful.
Well, and with that too, like taking a look at even yourself of, if one of my big things that I need to do as a leader is hold people accountable and
Mm,
hold myself accountable and the team accountable, you know, do I need to do everything that I'm doing?
there you go.
Um, I know like last night there was something that one of my shift leads asked me to take care of, which was fine. But at the same time, I was like, well, what are you doing right now? And they're
Mhm.
like, well, I'm getting K5 water for this and I'm trying to do this. I was like, just FYI, none of the stuff you're doing right now, you have to do.
Mhm.
Like I know it needs done,
Mhm.
but that's all stuff team members can do. This
Yes.
is only something you
Yes.
can do.
That's a good word, man.
And so I think we get stuck doing that a lot of, oh, it'll be faster if I do it, or I can just get it done real quick and different things like that. But there's a lot of things we don't have to do.
That's right.
We just put on ourselves and we shouldn't.
It's good, man. No, my mind went the same place. Like, if you got four things to do, which of those could you delegate?
Hmm.
Right? I think is what David's saying. If you're like, yeah, I need to these three things. Well, actually, any team member could do two of those things.
Yep.
Let me give those things. Or maybe you have somebody you're developing that you're like, hey, I'm going to ask you to hold this leadership thing down for 10 minutes while I go have this conversation.
Now,
And
what you're saying is completely true, though, at the same time. Like, bring your team together in on it. I don't know how many times now people get upset at me because I'm like, hey, you actually need to talk to so and so about this.
Mhm.
And it's because I'm not stealing their job away and,
Mhm.
stepping on their toes. But at the same time, the team knows who they need to go to for each individual thing, you know, instead of feeling like, oh, I can just go to David for everything. I
Yes.
can just go to Larita for everything. Well, no, I have stuff I got to do too. So make sure to go to so and so.
Yes. Well, and you guys are both great leaders, and people go to great leaders, right? You guys are attentive, you solve problems, you care. Of course, people are going to come to you, right? But I think continuing to redirect them. Okay, man, how about you, David? Anything for you? You have either kind of like a conversation or maybe an action in mind?
For me, the big thing is just always explaining the why. I had a conversation with a couple of team members last night, and they were just like, "Why'd they get let go?" And I was like, "First off, I never said that they were let go. I'm like, that's all you guys taking that under your own assumption." I said, and I had to explain well, if I discipline you, I'm not going to say anything to anyone else. Like that's between me and you.
Yep.
If things get out, that's because they got it out, or the team's making assumptions.
Yeah.
Um, and so just explaining the why of they were like, well, yeah, but they were a good team, they were good, bagger, and they were really fast at this. I'm like, yeah, I know. But if they're gonna, have a bad attitude and if they're gonna do X, Y, and Z, it's better for the rest of you if they're not here.
Mhm.
And, having, that conversation of why and why it's important to be accountable really made a bunch of our 16 and 17-year-olds be like, oh, yeah, you're not wrong.
It's good, man. No, and again, you've got to, I know with HR, you have to kind of honor, like, I can't tell you exactly what happened, right?
Mhm.
Um, but the more we consistently have those, I think you're right. We have those conversations. And even when we have to correct something in ourselves or somebody else to explain the why. Hey, like we're committed to doing our very best here. We're not going to settle for less.
Well, and
Um,
even like, so Larita, in your situation where you were saying that, you guys went from a negative whatever to a two, that was us a few years ago. And it was a lot of sitting down and getting people to buy in, and a lot of sitting down one-on-one and saying, hey, like this is what we're trying to do now.
Mhm.
And this is what's going to be better for you if you buy into this. And if not, then it's okay to look somewhere else. But
Mhm.
and the amount of people that bought in versus stopped fighting us
Mm.
really changed quick, especially when we had those conversations.
It's good. It's good. And then the people who stay know what to expect, right?
Mhm.
You can hold them accountable because you said this is what we're going to be about.
Yeah.
So good. Guys, thank you for your patience with me and my technology struggles today. And thanks for your engagement. Like this is one of the more enjoyable conversations I've had around this topic in a long time. So thanks for being willing to hear from each other, and thanks for being the leaders you are. Appreciate you both.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. David, I think we're talking this week, right?
Yeah.
Okay, looking forward to that. Larita, tell your team I said hey, and I hope to see them in this training later this month.
Sounds good. We'll see you. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Bye bye.
Bye. Have a good day off, man.